big. It only happens once a century. Bound for Glory. Anderson, Angle, Hardy. Who will capture the TNA World title on TNA Wrestling's biggest stage of them all? Rob Van Dam looks for redemption against the Monster Abyss. And Ric Flair's fortune goes to war with Mick Foley's EV2 inside Lethal Lockdown. TNA Bound for Glory live Sunday, October 10th on pay-per-view.
That, of course, is Bound for Glory coming to you in all its pay-per-view glory on October 10th. We'll talk about that huge event later on the show. Right now, I'm pleased to introduce two of the stars of TNA Knockouts, Angelina Love and, of course, Taylor Wilde. Guys, thanks so much for joining us here. And we're going to get to the big event later on, but I'm always curious when it comes to wrestlers, your guys' journey. How did you guys go from where you are now to where you started? I mean, how did you get into this business? Angela, let's start with you.
I started actually a decade ago when I was 18, just around Ontario. I was a huge wrestling fan, have been my whole life. And I was talking to a friend who was a ring announcer for some indie promotion in St. Louis. And I was like, I really want to get involved in wrestling. I don't know where to go or how to do it or who to talk to. And he just sent me a bunch of email addresses and websites and people to contact and for the Toronto and surrounding area indie scene. So I just made up a bio of myself, took some pictures, and just sent emails out saying, I really want to get involved in wrestling. Do you have a show that I could come to?
Yep.
I want to be a manager. Can I do this and that? And once you go do your first show, you always network and make connections because somebody needs a girl for this upcoming show, and then somebody needs a girl for another show, and it kind of just goes from there.
Well, Taylor, let me ask you, because you're studying psychology, or you've studied psychology.
Currently.
What drew you to wrestling? What was it about it? What was going on in your head when you would see that and go, yeah, that's what I want to be a part of?
Well, I had always been into contact sports. That was my thing growing up. I played ringette, and I played hockey, and I was always into fitness. I was working as a personal trainer in high school. And when I was working in high school, it was a co-op, and there was actually another guy doing co-op there. And he was a wrestler. So he introduced me to the Ontario independent scene and actually pushed me towards a reputable school, which we both trained at, Squared Circle Training in Toronto. And, I wanted to do something extraordinary. I'd always been a wrestling fan.
Yeah, so obviously you liked it since when you were kids.
Yeah.
How much were you guys liking it, though, when you were on the road, the independence? Like, before, you're at the glory now, you're at a level now, but the independence, the travel, the Deep South Wrestling, the developmental leagues, and the WWE, you guys have seen a ton. I mean, there's got to be, that had to be a tough road to where you are now.
When you first start.
You're insanely passionate.
You're
and you
so
want to do
hungry.
every show possible when you first start. So, even if we just had one indie every 6 weeks, like that was the greatest thing to happen in 6 weeks, and you never wanted to miss it, even though we'd make like $20 and
Slice of pizza,
travel,
good job, girls.
3-4 hours one way, and that would be short, and then 3-4 hours back. But we just loved it.
And how tough, though, was it, as it went on? Just especially the travel, because, again, it's like being a rock star. You're playing 20 different shows in 21 different days.
Well, it's honestly, it takes a toll on your body, but you almost get used to it. The longer you are on the road, the easier it is. But what really hurts is being away from family and friends and watching life pass you by. Because wrestling is like dog years. Like, I've been in this for 5 years, but I feel like I've, 17 going on 35, and it's so fun and it's so rewarding, and I love performing, but you miss a lot of the normalcy.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, because you guys both were part of the WWE Development Leagues, you guys both in Deep South Wrestling. How did they spot you? What did you guys do to get them to find you?
I had my first tryouts with WWE. It was June 2004. When Tom Pritchard was the scout there, and then I really got looked at when Tommy Dreamer was the talent scout there. I wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for Dreamer. They had just released Nydia, Gail, and Jazz, and they were looking for new girls, and I had got invited to do a tryout camp at OVW, and I was there for 2 weeks, and I was pretty much verbally hired after 2 days. Tommy, they really liked my look, and they were like, wow, she can wrestle, which is hard to come by, I guess, for girls sometimes. Yep. But so I got hired in December 2004, and then I was with Deep South from the minute we opened the doors until the minute they shut the doors. It was about 2.5 years.
Taylor, how about you? The same story?
Same thing, actually. If it wasn't for Tommy Dreamer, I wouldn't have a career either. For me, I was just putting together a package and basically looking to get picked up by whatever huge wrestling promotion was hiring. And, you know, at the time it was WWE. And I just so happened with Squared Circle Training, it's been affiliated with a lot of the people that have worked at WWE for the past, 10 years or so. And so that kind of got me an in. And, thank God Tommy is who he is, and he appreciates women's wrestling.
I was his first hire, and she was his last
very
hire.
last hire, yeah.
Then let me ask you on the other side, how difficult was it when you guys were released? I mean, were you in a stage of limbo? I mean, how tough was that, and why did it happen?
I guess looking back at it, I was upset. It came out of nowhere. There was numerous times where I was supposed to go to TV for all kinds of different things, and just nothing ever panned out. But everything happens for a reason, and I mean, I was basically like given the world when TNA came knocking. So at the time it was pretty devastating, but now it's very much in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, actually, I was relieved when I got released.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Honestly, and this is just my experience, and similar, I'm sure, it's a toxic, unhappy place for a lot of people, and for me, it became that. I love training every day. I love that my job was to wake up in the morning and train and be a wrestler, and that's how I earn my money every week. Unfortunately, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of things that politics.
It got to be too much.
And I was a baby. I was like 20, 21, 22, and I was unhappy. So there was a big, huge sense of relief, and I was actually really homesick too.
Really? And what do you mean though by toxic? And I don't want this to be a he said, she said, or drop other names, but I'm sort of getting an idea. But where other people passed on you, and again, sometimes larger corporations, they don't look at all the employees and treat them all fairly. We see this in every walk of life. I'm just curious about how again, a little bit more about how relieved you are.
A lot of it's emotional. Like when you first get hired and you think like, oh my God, I'm set for the rest of my life. And you're brought there and you're so gung ho and full of life energy, and then you go up there and then you're given something and then it's taken away. And then it's like, oh, we got something for you. Oh, but it's not gonna happen. Your hopes are up and your hopes are down, and your hopes are up and your hopes are down, and it's just like after a while, and then just training every day. Just sometimes like I would wake up in the morning and be like, I can't even move. How am I going to get through this day? It was just, I don't know. I always want to reach the highest plateau of what I could possibly do. I think that everybody should strive for the best. But when you're just almost not allowed to get what you want, or you're working your butt off for it, it's frustrating, and it kind of sucks the life out of it for you a little bit.
Well, Taylor, any last words on you on this subject before we go to break? Because we're going to talk all about TNA and we're talking about knockouts when we come back. But any last words from you on this?
Well, the roller coasters of emotions over there breeds a lot of unhappy people, and that's where I get the whole toxic syndrome from. Is just misery loves company, and people only want to drag you down. So.
All right, well, guys, thanks so much for your candor. Honestly, we got to take a break. We're more with these guys. We're talking TNA knockouts. Plenty more wrestling talk coming up right after this.